Anjelah Johnson.
Hello.
Welcome to Chekitow.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for having me.
No, you're in the middle of your More of Me tour.
That's right.
But I was telling you before we started that every time in my mind it turns into more of you.
Well, it is more of you if somebody is talking to me, but it's me. More of me. I'm the comedian. Me.
You have a
more of my stories, my life, me.
And that's I think that's why your comedy has really taken off. It really is about you. You know, like some comedians, yeah, they have the observational Seinfeld thing, but we get to know you, and you're a very specific kind of comedian. Do you know what I mean by that?
I would like to hear more.
If somebody sees you on the street and they see you across the street, they see a very beautiful, ethnically ambiguous woman, right? Okay. Who looks like she can probably go on a hike. You know, maybe she has a sense of humor, but they're not thinking comedian. Maybe they're thinking she's an actress, which is what you came to LA to be.
Yes.
You were a Raiders cheerleader, and then you're like, I want to be an actress. Let me go down to LA.
That's right.
Did you think you were going to be a comedian at the time?
Never.
What happened? How did it how did a woman like you become a comedian?
You know what? I was here in LA and I was going to a church. And at this church, they had a lot of entertainers at the church, like dancers, actors, producers, whatever. A lot of people in the entertainment industry. And there was a comedian there. And every Tuesday night, they would have creative arts night where they would like teach dance class or acting class or whatever it would be. And this woman was teaching a stand-up comedy class. And she asked me if I wanted to take her class. And I was like, is it free? She's like, yeah. I was like, well, I guess so. And I just took this class. And then one of the first jokes that I wrote was this nail salon bit that ended up blowing up my spot years later. And it's crazy. And now I'm working on my 5th hour special right now.
Now, going back to the nail salon bit, the character that you became known for at the time, Qui Qui.
Qui Qui.
I know. I say it bad. I'm Cuban, so I see the Q-U-I, and I'm not thinking Qui Qui. I'm thinking Kiki.
No.
Bon Qui Qui.
Qui Qui.
Bon Qui Qui.
Yes.
Is she Puerto Rican?
She's a mess. She's just her.
She's very East Coasty, though. Aside from the Qui Qui pronunciation, she's very East Coasty, I think.
I don't know. I think she's a little bit of everybody. Like, she has her Bay Area lingo.
Maybe that's the thing.
She has, she's a little Bay. She's a little South.
But did you retire her?
East Coast. She's definitely on vacation, that's for sure.
What do you mean by vacation? You're going to bring her back?
Maybe, if there's a reason to.
If there's a contract with a lot of money on the end.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. If there's a reason to, I'll bring her back out. But right now, I have so many other things that I want to do and I love to do. But I'm so grateful for that character. It opened up so many avenues for me to expand my creativity. And I never thought I'd be a music artist. And then Bon Qui Qui ends up getting a record deal with Warner Brothers Records. And we end up coming out with her first comedic hip-hop album, and we did a Christmas album, and we
LATV.
We toured the album with a live band and backup dancers, and so it was very cool to be a music artist for a minute. And I would love to do more music, but maybe just as myself and not necessarily as this character.
Okay, I was gonna save it for the end of the podcast, but I am. We're gonna get back to it. You singing on your YouTube page, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
What did
you hear me sing?
Just some beautiful song. It wasn't funny. You were singing to I'll bring it up. I don't want to bring it up now because then it's gonna completely mess up my order. But I'm gonna get back to why you throw me off as a comedian.
Okay, why?
And because in the beginning, do you think that when you started going out there and performing stand-up on stage, did you feel that being an attractive woman was held against you, not just by the men, but by the women in the audience, and you almost had to dumb that down a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
At what point did you realize that?
Well, pretty much for like the first couple years of my stand-up career. I was still figuring myself out, my point of view, and what kind of stories I wanted to tell, what my style was, what my voice was. Like, it takes a while to figure that out. And when I started headlining my own shows, I was at a comedy club in Miami.
That's where I'm from. Don't hold it against me.
Oh, let me tell you.
The worst for comedy, I think.
Oh, I learned a lot. I was headlining there, And I could not get the crowd on my side. And they were a very macho crowd.
Right.
They were very much
But even the women were macho.
That's what I'm saying. They were very much like, make me laugh. Go ahead. Let me see what you could do. It was very much that kind of attitude.
But they're like that with everybody, I got to be honest with you. But they probably gave you an extra.
I wasn't expecting it.
Right.
I wasn't expecting it. And I didn't know how to handle myself in that.
Did you tell them to fuck off?
No. And
I think that's what you should have done.
No, I shut down is what I did. I didn't
Really?
know how to handle it. And I remember talking to the manager of the club afterwards. I'm like, I can't get them on my team. Like, I can't figure out how to get them on my side. And he's like, well, why don't you try taking your lipstick off, pull your hair back in a ponytail, and put your hoodie sweatshirt on.
Wow.
And I'm like, all right. So I go out there and I put everything on that he said, and it was like night and day.
Because you had two shows. You had like an 8 o'clock and a 10 o'clock. So in between the first night show and then the second night show, you did the change.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it was like night and day response from people. Like I'm disarming people by being less threatening.
Look, you know, in the age of female empowerment, let's not forget that there was always at least one element of power that at least attractive women had. And when you go on the comedy stage and you got to be vulnerable and you got to be relatable, that intimidation. I mean, there's even good-looking guys that have to kind of like either wear glasses or not be so suave, because I just think that being good-looking and then being a beautiful woman is, I don't think it should be held against you, but I feel like the crowd is like, oh, like this person doesn't understand vulnerability. This person isn't the butt of anyone's joke.
Sure,
you know?
Sure.
They're so cool and cool looking.
Sure. Yeah. It's definitely, if you don't look funny, then there's going to be a bias in someone's mind. Like, how's this person going to be funny? Like, they don't even look funny.
Right.
You know?
But you got the facial expressions. That's where your comedy comes up.
Thank you.
Were you always like that growing up?
You know, I come from a funny family, so I didn't know that I was funny until I was an adult and I took this class, because my whole family was funny. We were just all funny, making each other laugh. So I didn't know that was any different. So I just grew up around funny people.
But this wasn't part of the plan, being a comedian.
No.
What were you thinking when you became a Raiderette?
The only reason why I tried out to be a cheerleader for the Oakland Raiders is because I wanted to be an actress. And I said, I'm going to use this as my sign. I'm going to try out, and if I make it, then I'm going to move to LA and I'm going to be an actress.
What was it like being a cheerleader in the NFL?
It was awesome.
Yeah?
Oh my God, I had a great time.
Did you get hit on by the NFL players?
You know what? No, I didn't. But I also didn't really put myself out there in that way. I didn't. You know, fraternization between players and cheerleaders is frowned upon. So I wasn't
now more than ever
going out to the clubs or anything like that.
You're not a partier. I see on your YouTube that after the show, you're back in the hotel room, you're watching CSI.
Let me tell you, my after party, my perfect night after party is like Forensic Files.
Why do you like those shows?
With my team and like a glass of wine and like some food. That is my after party.
Okay.
In some pajamas and some sweats. Oh, come on.
Okay, but what is it about? And I noticed that it's big with certain women.
What?
Those criminal shows.
Is it?
Why? I know
I
a lot
know.
of most women that are kind of fun and have a dark side like those murder weird shows.
Yeah,
Why?
I do. I don't know. I mean, SVU, Criminal Minds.
Oh God, you watch them all.
Oh yeah, Forensic Files. I love.
Are you a Scorpio?
No.
You're not an Aries like me.
No.
Okay, I get one more try.
Okay, go.
You're a Taurus.
Oh, I am, yeah.
Whoa! You know what?
It took you 3 times. You act like you did something amazing right now.
Hey, 3 out of 12. That's not that bad. Do you know what gave it away though?
What?
That last little. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, because
that little bossy, sarcastic, like suspicious. You're not gonna get it. I knew you were a Taurus.
Well, whatever.
Listen, you're still the nicest Taurus I've ever met in my life.
Well, thank you.
Are you spiritual?
I am.
Are you Christian or New Agey, or you do your own thing?
I am Christian.
Is that why when I decided, because my friend gave me these tarot cards, when I said, oh, I'm going to read your tarot card, what was your reaction?
I said, no, I don't want to do that.
Because you feel like you bring in like the devil and demons and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't want to invite things that I am not aware of.
I
need to study it more, and then maybe I'll come to a different conclusion.
Would you be okay pulling a tarot card for me?
No!
Okay, would you be okay with me pulling my own tarot card and reading in front of you? Or do you feel like the Ouija
board
board is, you're going to walk out of here with some
No,
spirit?
that's you.
Okay, let's see. Maria, my friend, gave me these.
Well, you and Maria, go have fun with your little demons, and I'll be here cleansed.
Do you do cleansings? Like Christian cleansings ever?
I mean, what does that mean?
I think that's the way you win every argument with your husband. What does that mean? Okay, here we go. Ooh, 3 swords.
You don't even know what that means.
No, I don't. So we have to look it up here, and we got to see what 3 swords means.
This is the most commercial tarot card box ever.
I know. Hold on. Maria, help me.
Did you get this at Hot Topic?
No, it was like spades. Moving beyond sorrow, understanding one's own feelings. Because you know what? I'm finally getting over my previous relationship.
Moving beyond sorrow, understanding
one's own feelings.
And so you're finally getting over your previous relationship.
Yeah.
Ah, I see.
So speaking of relationships, it seems to be a focal point of your act these days.
Yes.
What's married life like?
Awesome. 7 years in now.
7-year itch?
But I'm not itchy.
That's because you're with a Puerto Rican. So he can handle you.
The Puerto Rican part is actually what makes me borderline itchy. Let me tell you.
What's the part? What's his sign?
Gemini? No, I don't know.
Oh,
he's
wow.
July 28. What does that mean?
Oh, he's a Leo.
Leo. Oh,
ooh,
sorry.
Fire. Wow, Taurus and Leo. So how'd you guys meet?
Through mutual friend.
Are you allowed to say his name?
Yeah, his name is Manuel Reyes.
Okay. I don't know, because some people are like, they want to keep their
guess.
personal stuff. I don't want my kid in the limelight. I don't want my husband.
Yeah.
How'd you guys meet? Through a friend?
Mutual friend. My old roommate married his best friend, and so I saw him at their wedding, and I thought he was so hot, and I was like, hey.
You went and you got him?
No, actually, nobody introduced me to him, so I went home empty-handed. But then I stalked him on the internet after that, and I found out everything about him on Google and Facebook.
What a lucky guy.
Yeah, stalker. I stalked him. But I didn't even message him or anything. I didn't reach out to him, or I didn't even tell my friend, hey, I looked up that hot guy at your wedding. I didn't even tell her anything. And then I just let it go for 2 years. Yeah. I lived my life.
And then when did you meet
I was
him?
like, shoot, he missed out. That's what happened. That's what I said. And then I went off my life for 2 years. And then I get a phone call from my friend, and she was like, hey, I want to hook you up with somebody. And I was like, who do you want to hook me up with? She goes, look him up on the internet. I don't know if he's your type. His name is Manuel Reyes. And then all the research I did 2 years ago came flooding back to me. And I was like, okay, I'll check it out, see if I like him or not.
You put it out there. And then what was the meeting like? Was it a blind date?
It was a blind. First, we started with Skype because he was across the country. He lived in Florida with the rest of the Puerto Ricans.
A Skype first date?
Yeah.
Awkward.
No, it was great.
Really?
Yeah, it was fine.
Okay, look, it's better than like, I don't know, finding somebody on OkCupid.
I feel like that's way better than an in-person.
But that must have been so weird. Like, you haven't even met him yet, and you're going to meet him on like a webcam.
Yeah.
Hopefully you meet in person someday. Did you tell him that you were stalking him after you met him?
No, I didn't tell him that till at least we were married.
You were playing it close to the vest with the cards.
I had to lock him in first.
Nice.
Sign a contract. And then I was like, by the way.
Interesting. Okay, so I have a lot of comedian friends, a lot of guy comedian friends.
Okay.
If any of my female friends are ever interested in my guy comedian friends, I give them the good warning. Like, he's a comedian. You don't want to date a comedian.
Yeah.
I know a lot of girl comedians too, and I probably have the same advice for my guy comedian friends. Not you though. You're a little, because you're a Latina. You make your family proud. What was it like dating you as a comedian for your husband? And then maybe go ahead and extrapolate that. What is it like? Because we always hear about guy comedians. What is it like dating a female comedian? Is it impossible, or is it as bad as dating guy comedians? You
know what? I've never been a part of the, what would you say, like,
the scene,
the cookie cutter or whatever. Like, this is what a comedian looks like. This is what a comedian acts like. This is what I've never. My story is so unique in its own. I didn't grow up wanting to be a comedian, so I didn't find my my juice at the comedy club. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's different for people who love to hang out at the comedy club and they're there all the time, which is amazing. And I've wished that I was that person, because I would be so envious of people of other comics who would go to the club and just like hang out, because it would make me nervous. I would get anxiety to hang out at the comedy clubs. Like, it was just something where I felt kind of like an outsider a little bit. So I would go and I would do my job, and then I would come home. I would do my set and I would come home. and I didn't really hang out much. And now here I am, 12 years in almost. And I'm like, man, I wish I hung out at the clubs more. But now I'm touring so much. When I get home, I'm so tired. I just want to sleep and hang out with my friends and family. And I do know a lot of headlining comedians that are touring majorly. And when they come home, they're still at the club. Like Eliza, my friend Eliza, I love her. She is such a hard worker. She's touring all over the world. And then she comes home the next day, she's at the Comedy Store, working on something new. Like,
they're there
she
every
has
night.
such a hustle that I have so much respect for, but I don't have it in me. Like, when I come home, I'm like, okay, which one of my friends have I not spent time with? Which one of my nephews do I need to go to their, soccer game or my niece's recital?
So do you think that it makes you more relationship material? Because, I mean, like, look, comedians, both men and women, who hang out at the comedy club, I have to imagine that it's hard to be in a relationship with them.
I don't know, because I've never been that person, so I couldn't tell you.
Well, what about your female comedian friends? Is it hard for them to date?
Well, Eliza just got married, so she's doing all right.
Okay, so what about... we got to find someone from Marcelo Arguello.
I don't know. I mean... It's hard to say because... Is
it different for female comedians and male comedians?
I would say yes. For instance, when I was traveling alone before I had an entourage with me of a road manager and an opening comedian of my choice and all of that, comics can go out after their show and hang out with the fans, go grab a drink. But a girl comic, it's a little more dangerous.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, I can't just go out with a bunch of dudes that I met at my show.
Right.
Like, that's dangerous. So it's different in that sense,
Interesting. Are there okay, so those are some of the challenges. What are some of the advantages, at least in the last couple of years, that you've experienced? Is it time for, especially as a woman and as a Latina, you've been told, I'm sure, for the past, since you started, oh yeah, it's our time and we're in demand. But 10 years ago, it was a lot of empty words and empty promises. Do you think that finally we've gotten to a point where you can say, look, I'm a woman, I'm a Latina, and that's to my advantage. It's an asset. Not something that I need to explain.
Both.
Okay.
I think it's definitely we've moved the needle some, that's for sure, and it's more accepted. And I think with people like Chelsea Handler, who had her show Chelsea lately, and she would have a roundtable and invite comics on every episode,
right?
And she would always have a female comic on there, and I think, and she would allow them to show how funny they were, and also plug where you're going to be at this weekend, where you're going to be performing. So I think what Chelsea did for stand-up comedians, and especially female stand-up comedians, is amazing. Like, she opened up the door for us and help us get our foot in the door, basically, and be respected as comedians. So we definitely have moved the needle some, but still till this day, I mean, like on TV, like on mainstream network television, we're saying we need more Latino representation on TV, and every year you hear the network saying they want more Latino representation, and then when it comes time to the shows that got picked up, where are they? They're not really there. Maybe they made it halfway through the development process,
right, and
then dropped off at some point. Or maybe there's a Latino actor on this one show, but it's not necessarily a whole Latino family show. I'm not saying we don't have any. One Day at a Time is on Netflix, and it's amazing, and I wish more people would watch it.
Well, they're actually doing a campaign now to get renewed.
Yeah, that show is so good, and I love it. I love all the characters. I love the stories. I love that it's heartfelt. But people need to know about it and go support it, because a win for that Cuban family is going to open up the door for this Mexican family story, for this Peruvian family story, for whatever, you know what I mean? We have to learn to come together and support each other, even if it's not exactly your story. That wasn't my childhood. I didn't grow up with pasteles or whatever, you know what I mean?
What'd you grow up with? Was it Mexican or was it more American?
Definitely more American, but we still had tamales on Christmas. And
do you speak Spanish? Because I know you have it in your set. You don't, but
no, I don't.
Okay, but here's one question that my gringo friends ask.
What?
Okay, I have a slight Spanish accent. I grew up speaking bilingually in Miami because my family thought they were gonna go back to Cuba. So no, you tiene que hablar español. Mexicans from California that have a little slight accent but don't speak Spanish. Where does that come from?
I don't know. Do I have an accent?
Look. I think that sometimes you turn it on around Latino people. If it was a bunch of white people in the room, I bet you wouldn't have the accent at all.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, I definitely code switch. That's for sure. I definitely put it on. I assimilate into whatever group I'm a part of. And I think it's a part of my ear for accents.
You have a great ear for that, yeah.
Singing or whatever it is. Like, I've never been trained on anything, but I hear it and I mimic it is what it is. So if I'm talking to somebody and they have an accent, I'm probably going to start talking in their accent. Like, not on purpose.
Do you hear my Miami accent? Do you hear?
I do hear something.
Isn't Miami? Sure. You've been to Miami. Like you do.
What's funny is your accent. You have a little bit of a Hawaiian pidgin intonation. Like
Hawaiians are like part. There's so many Latino, not Latino, Hawaiian like UFC fighters, and I feel like they're Latino. Like the way they talk, you know, like that the bros kind of like from Hawaii, the way they talk. But you, why do you say mahalo? You say that, so you're part Hawaiian?
No, I filmed my special in Hawaii, so it was mahalo and
we got the
night.
screensaver here. Go ahead, come in. The direct. No, I don't want to know your password because then I'm gonna break into all your stuff.
Uh-oh.
I'm paying attention. I give people my password all the time. They don't realize it. Like I give people clues. Okay.
Give me a clue.
And scene. He was a Mexican comedian.
A Mexican comedian?
Yeah, from way back in the day. Growing up in Miami, having a Cuban dad. He actually, when he left Cuba, he lived in.
He just died recently?
My dad?
No, the comedian.
I don't know. I think it's been a while, but he had like the VHS tapes because he lived in Mexico City for a year, and I just thought it was a funny name. It's been my password, and little do I know, I come to LA, and everybody knows who this guy is, or people of a certain age.
Well, everyone's gonna hack into your Bank of America.
No, I'm changing it today.
Okay.
I'm gonna change it to Qui Qui.
We'll spell it correctly at least.
I spell it correctly. I just don't say it correctly.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the Qui Qui comeback tour. So you have a lot of videos with your husband.
Yes.
What is it like working together, and is there ever a point where like, all right, let's bring up the divider again, and here's my space and here's your space?
For sure. We butt heads in the creative process because we are both stubborn, but we are both like, I'm the CEO of me and he's the CEO of him. Like, that's how we were when we first got together. So I'm used to making decisions, and I constantly do make decisions for myself, my brand, my material. I'm a creative. That's what I do. He's also a creative. That's what he does. Mm-hmm. So when we come together, it's not like we have the creative personality and then the type A personality. It's we're both the creative. So we just butt heads a lot through the creative process. But then the finished product is actually always really good, and we're really proud of it. But it definitely took a lot of war to get there.
Wow. And so do you use your own stand-up act, and when you go on tour on your own, it's kind of like that needed space, that needed me time, and then kind of like rework up the meter where you want to kind of collaborate with him again?
It's great to have an opportunity to miss him, to go on the road and get to miss him. If I was with him all day, every single day, that would be hard.
There's some people that like that in their relationship, and I guess because if you're a creative person, you need a creative outlet. Not only do you need your space to do the creative outlet, you need your space to calm down, be by yourself, and think, and breathe. That time you got stalked, that was interesting. I saw the video on YouTube. Yes. Somebody was driving around following you guys?
Yes, in Houston, Texas.
Oh, my goodness.
So we finished the show, and we're driving to go get some food after the show, and it's pretty late. And we go through this drive-through, and as we're pulling in, that's when Mal, my friend, he opens for me on the road. He was driving, and he was like, "Hey guys, this car's been following us for like 7 miles." Mm-hmm. And we're like, "What?" Like, we're clueless, but he's been watching him the whole time in the mirror. And he was like, "Yeah, I've been changing lanes. He changes lanes. I exited. He exited. I just pulled into the driveway, and he just pulled in too." And we're like, oh, shoot. And then we started getting scared. We pull into the driveway, and then he parks, gets out of the car. We're like, oh, my God, he's going to come up to us. And then he gets back in his car and just drives away. And we're like, that was weird. Then we pull out of the driveway. He was waiting on the side street, followed us again back onto the freeway. We go back to the comedy club because I'm like, let's not go back to the hotel. I don't want this guy knowing where we're staying. Yeah. So we drive back to the comedy club, and he's like right behind us, tailing us the whole way. And so we like rush into our parking spot at the comedy club, and they like pull down the gate right away so he can't get in. And yeah, then we had to call the cops and everything. We had to get an escort back to the
So
hotel.
this is what happens when you're a really funny comedian and you go to a Latino part of the country where they're like finding a great comedian and she's also beautiful. Well, and I have a bunch of pictures of her. I'm speaking in his voice. Not me. I have a bunch of pictures up on the wall of her. I know bon Qui Qui. I say it the right way. And here she is. She's finally here in my neighborhood in Houston, Texas. I mean, I was trying to say Tejas and Texas.
Listen, so here's what happened. I was on Instagram. And I asked people in Houston, I was like, hey, does anybody work for the police department? I need a favor. And I got a couple messages from people. And I'm like, yo, can you run this license plate for me? And so I had somebody run the license plate. They told me his name. And they couldn't give me any information about him or anything. But they're like, here's his name. This is who the car is registered to. So we looked up on Facebook. We found like 5 different people with that very Spanish name in Texas. So we're like, okay, it could be many of people here. Right. And so they say his name. I forget what it is right now, but the very last show, I'm doing meet and greet, right? So people come through my line, I shake their hand or give them a hug, we take a picture, say a quick hello, and they move on. The last guy in line walks up to me and he goes, hey, my name is, and he says the name.
Whoa. This is when you went back?
Yeah. So this is the next day, my next shows. Because I do shows all weekend long. He says his name, and immediately I'm like, oh my God, this has to be the guy, right? And then so I'm trying to like look at Eddie. He's the one taking pictures for me in the meet and greet. I'm trying to like communicate with my eyes. This is the guy, right? But like, how do you like communicate that? I'm just like trying to give him like a scared look. And then so we take pictures, and he pulls out all these photos of me to sign, right? And I was like, okay, I'm just going to sign 2 of them, right? Because that happens a lot. People will come and they'll bring like a bunch of photos they printed out on the internet and they want you to sign them. I'm like, I'm just going to print 2 or just going to sign 2. And I sign a couple and they leave. And I'm trying to tell him, I'm like, that's the guy. Go follow him out to the car. See if he's going to get in that same truck that was following us. And so he followed him out and he didn't get in the same car. But I am 98% positive that was the same guy.
Okay, listen, I'm friends with our Mexican lighting guy here. He has 20 cars. So if you're Mexican,
are a few of them on blocks?
It doesn't even. Yes.
In the front yard.
Well, no, it's like some of them look like Humvees and some of them are like Porsches. I don't know how he does it. Okay, let's be honest. I mean, maybe I do, but I don't. Mexicans have more than one car. They have more than one kid, and they have more than one car.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, and I can say this because I'm Mexican by association.
I'm pretty sure that was the guy.
I'm gonna play a little game with you.
Okay.
It's called Follow, Unfollow.
I hate this game.
Why do you hate this game? Do you know what it is?
Yes, I played this one time on a radio station interview.
Wait a minute, but we've been doing it on the zoo.
But
was it called Follow, Unfollow? Because I'm gonna call them up right now and put a stop to them doing it.
No, I was like, follow, unfollow, block, delete, or something, whatever.
Andres, is he here? My co-producer of the zoo. They stole our you came up with it first.
He brought up 3 people that I currently follow and made me like choose, right?
Okay,
and I'm like, if I have to choose, I guess this. Then he goes on social media to try to start
I won't do that.
Like a fight.
No, I won't do that.
And he's like, hey, at so-and-so, Anjelah said she's going to block you.
That will not happen.
And I was like, you little diva.
No,
like, why would you do that?
No. Whoever that guy was, he's a jerk. I'm going to say right now that it's not going to happen that way. So let me just get to it. Follow and follow. Mm-hmm. You need to You need to follow one of these people and unfollow the other and explain why.
Okay, go.
First person is Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, OAC. Mm-hmm. The second one is America Ferrera, who you worked with.
Rude.
Who you're going to follow and who you're going to unfollow and why. And by the way, after this game is over, you're going to go back to following them both. But for the sake of this game, follow one and throw somebody off the,
I'm following America Ferrera.
Why?
Because she's my friend and I want to know what she's doing in her life.
Okay, good.
And
So that means you have to unfollow AOC?
Yeah.
Why?
I will unfollow her because I'll just go Google what she said today.
That's funny. You know that they, what do you think of the AOC?
I think she's great. I love that she wore her hoops to her swearing in.
She's representing.
Come on, queen.
I do like the fact that she calls everyone out for public for taking money. Like whenever a politician does something, that she posts, "Oh, you're taking this much money." But have you read her Green Deal?
No.
Did you read the thing about the farting cows?
No.
I think that she could have held. I think that the Democratic leadership is like, you could have held on to this for a little bit. This is your first paper. It's your first report. Yeah. Go ahead and wait till the end of the semester before you turn it in. Yeah, there's something that she wants to, curb, emissions, but they included. By the way, she didn't come up with this first. Other people have said that farting cows is contributing to the hole in the ozone layer, and the fact that we eat so much meat and there's so many more cows today. Yeah. There's so many more cow farts creating holes in the ozone layer. Is that the first time you've ever heard of it?
That's the first time I've ever heard of it.
Okay, we'll read her Green Deal because people are making fun of her. Do that. It's funny. She also wants every building in the country to be rebuilt at some point. Every single one. Wow. It's a little ambitious. I know. She's going for the gold. She's
what's the point of that one, though?
Because they're not green, these buildings.
Oh, I hear what
you're saying. They need to be refitted and all that stuff.
I hear what you're saying.
So they're kind of like, just general thoughts on Trump. Is there, I know that he's an awful human being. Does he ever make you laugh?
Yeah, but it's one of those things like, are you laughing with someone or laughing at someone?
Well, you can laugh at him.
You know what I mean? So it's I laugh in amazement a lot of times. Mm-hmm. I laugh in disbelief. Yeah.
Is it hard to make fun of Trump? Because you know what, when Trump became president, I think a lot of comedians are like, awesome, we're going to have great material, because it was so easy to make fun of Bush. But is Trump such a caricature of himself that it's hard to make fun of him when he's already kind of seemingly making fun of himself?
I don't even touch it. Okay. I don't, because people get enough of that on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram every single day. I would rather them come to my show and not have to hear anything about politics or anything really like divisive. Like, we're divided. This country is so divided. Right. And it's very obvious. So when people come to my show, I know I have some conservative fans, and I know I have some liberal fans. I know I have some people right down the middle. So I know what I believe and where I stand and where I don't stand, but I make sure that my show is relatable to everyone and that people can come and just have a good time and hear stories and laugh, and they don't have to worry about if I'm going to make fun of them for what they choose to stand for.
That's not only is that an interesting take, but it's probably a very mature one, and I think that it definitely works for comedy. I know that when I go to the comedy clubs recently, you'd expect it to be very political, and there's always those comedians that want to go topical, and some of them are most of the time newbies, to be honest with you. I have noticed some of like the veterans just kind of like sticking to themselves, sticking to their narrative of their life and the crazy things that happen to them, and not really getting into the politics, because it just becomes, people are just so entrenched on one side or the other. You're not going to get them to laugh at themselves.
Exactly.
All right, so let me see if I have another game here. Oh, okay. We're going to play another game. It's called Macho Not Macho. Okay. I know that we're trying to redefine what macho means. That's fine. You can redefine it. But you kind of, do you think that, obviously I'm assuming you like a progressive, evolved man, but do you also like maybe a few elements of tradition, or you're just like, forget traditional aspects of masculinity?
I do like traditional aspects for sure. I love for my husband to take the trash out. I don't want to do that. But my husband also does the laundry. Right. And that's typically like a woman's thing, I guess.
Well, that's a good trade-off. Do you think, so macho or not macho, a man who jumps or shrieks at the sight of a bug, is that macho or not macho? Can you forgive him? Can you be like, hey, look, I'm scared of spiders too, so it's okay that you shrieked at the sight of a roach or a lizard or something?
Yeah, I can forgive that.
You can?
Yeah, listen, I have a video of my brother who... He's Mr. Macho, works out a lot, used to do like the MMA training and all that. And I have videos of him trying to kill a spider. And it's hilarious because he becomes a little girl. And I don't know what it is about spiders that just have that effect. I think I would be more weirded out if you didn't at least cringe a little bit at a spider.
Really?
Like, so you were so confident you just went and picked it up, I'd be like, oh, you're a psycho.
Yeah.
We have other issues.
We have
other issues at hand.
Like everything, it's a fine line. In the middle, you got everything is about the happy median. That's why they call it the happy median. Yes. I think that's the new thing, by the way. I've been preaching this for a while because, politically, there's the right and the left. The middle, man. Come, everyone just kind of join to the middle. Let's hold hands, smoke a doob. We'll drink some Cuban coffee. By the way, I didn't offer it to you because it's cold, but there's Cuban coffee in this.
I'm good. Thank you.
Have you had Cuban coffee?
Yes.
In Miami?
Little cafecito, yes.
It's crazy. All right, we're getting to the end here. I'm going to pull up the link of you singing, but before we do... Man. Okay, here's one thing. Going back to the macho thing. I do feel that, like, if I'm on an airplane with my girlfriend, if there's turbulence, even if I'm freaking out, and my grandfather died in a plane crash, by the way. Even if I'm freaking out, if she's freaking out, I feel like I have to like stay strong for her.
Yeah.
Because if I start going crazy and getting scared or being as scared or more scared than she is, that I'm just gonna be vulgar here. She's gonna clamp up later that night when it comes for the romance.
Yeah.
This is not a man. He's freaking out like he needed to.
That wasn't a turn on. That wasn't safe. I didn't feel protected.
So I need to fake
safe.
it. I need to be no, it's okay. I'm not afraid of dying in a fiery plane crash.
Yeah.
Even though I am.
Yeah.
That's like my way of being macho.
Yeah, I like it. Lie.
Being macho means lying, but for a cause. Okay.
But
isn't that what macho is? Like pretending you're tougher than you are? I mean, that's I think we nailed it. D, I thought I had this plugged in, but I don't. Well, no, we're just going to look it up. We're going to look it up. I'm good. Let's go to the YouTube. By the way, I have to ask you, what do you think of Juicy over here? Juicy Smollett.
What?
That's exactly what, that was my reaction to. The guy who faked his thing.
Oh, Jussie?
Isn't it Juicy?
No.
I think it should be Juicy. Do you think that he ruined his career forever, or he's going to have a comeback tour in 2020?
Oh, no. Oh, man.
What a miscalculation, huh?
The whole story just makes me sad.
It does. It's like bad guess, man. I think he really thought that the world is just going to come together around him and just be like, Juicy, I'm sorry. Okay, so let's go to Anjelah, we got to fix something on YouTube. I put Anjelah Johnson. Look what comes out first. We got to have your page first.
Yeah, how do we change that? I don't know which one it is, but...
No, we'll go right here. This is you and your husband rapping? So are you...
Oh, yeah. Him freestyling.
D, can we listen to this? Are you a singer and then tried rapping, or...?
I'm not either. I just pretend. I'm an actor.
Whoa, he's good.
Yeah, he's a rapper.
Look at you in the back doing the hand motion stuff.
I'm the hype girl.
Let's get to you. Are you here?
I don't sing on that.
Jesus Christ, this is the worst. This is gonna be like the. Okay, let's just do one that for sure. Let's just end on this. They always say that the comedy is becoming very politically correct and you can't say a lot of things. What I love about your set is that through your eyes, you do talk about other communities. I was engaged to a Filipino once. I love it when you talk about Filipinos, like you know them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Uy.
Yeah, exactly.
I do know them.
The Tagalog. You speak Tagalog?
Very little.
Okay. Filipinos. Everything is the F with the P. Do you feel that you can say things? How do you navigate the racial humor that you have in your set, especially in days like today where everyone's kind of like uptight about certain things?
You live and learn. You try what you feel comfortable with, and you see if it works. And if it does, then great, you keep it. If it doesn't, then you're like, oh, sorry, move on. Like that's kind of where we're at right now. So it's unfortunate because I feel like comedians have always been the ones that get to hold up a mirror to society and say, hey, this is what I see. But now we even have to like hold up a mirror, but also like dress it up. Like, this is what I see, kind of. But if you don't like it, sorry about that.
But have we reached a turning point, do you think? In like the past year? Do you think that comedy's kind of coming back to just let them say whatever they want?
No. I mean, I don't see it. I still see, people make jokes and then they're fired from their shows or
Have you ever had an experience like that over anything that you said?
No, I haven't. I mean, I definitely have had people offended by things that I've said.
At a show?
At a show, online, or whatever, Like
what have they said to you, or how did you respond?
I mean, my nail salon joke, for one, like that's the most classic bit, and most people love it, but there are some people who don't like it, and I still get hate mail and, things like that every now and then. But, yeah, it's just, comedy is so subjective, so it's really hard to say, like, what is you taking a comedic stand, and what is you crossing the line, and what is going to be widely accepted, and what is going to be widely rejected. Like, you never know. Like, all of a sudden, like, people can support you, and then the next day they don't. And it's like, I remember following this story online of this girl who she wasn't a comedian. She was just like a little social media blogger. And her and her fiance were sitting on the plane, and there was 2 people in front of them. And they got one of the persons to switch seats with them, right? And so her and her fiance are like, oh, what if this girl's husband ends up walking on, right? What if she ends up meeting the love of her life, right? Well, the guy that walks on ends up being a really good looking guy. And so they're like, oh my gosh, what if they end up hooking up, right? So the whole flight, they're tweeting about it and showing pictures of like, oh, their elbows are touching now, and like just kind of making up this pretend love story. And it goes viral, and people are following along and replying to her being like, oh my gosh, I am so here for this story, because they're kind of making up their own things like, oh, I think they just followed each other on Instagram. Whatever. And so it ended up being this big, huge thing that everybody was loving, and like, oh, this is such a funny little, because she was funny while she was talking about it. This is a funny little story. Well, I guess what happened, the internet, as the internet does, ended up finding that girl. And like there was trolls just like trolling that girl. They figured out who they were, and that girl ended up having to like shut down all her social media. Jeez. She didn't want to be known, and like it was a really traumatic thing for her. But the girl who was like making up this pretend love story was not meaning anything like hateful, or she was not trying to abuse this woman's privacy. She never once showed her face or anything. But all of a sudden, everybody who was like watching this go down and was like, this is so funny, all of a sudden everyone in the world turns on her. Is like, how dare you abuse that woman's privacy?
Everyone's just searching for something to be offended by.
2 minutes, all of a sudden, she was like hundreds of thousands of followers, and then every news article about her and just abusing people's privacy, and like no one can like be private, and you can't just enjoy yourself on a flight anymore. And she got tore down immediately. And I'm like, wow, she's not even a comic. She was just some girl who was being funny and made up this love story that everyone loved until they didn't, and then everyone hated her. And it was like, wow, that's you never know. You can do something and everybody's liking it, and all of a sudden they don't like it.
But as like, a comic, you've been toughened up by bombing, having jokes be something that people are offended by. It's probably toughened you up as a person. You can probably take certain things, criticisms.
Yes and no. I mean, yes, but it still affects me. Like, I don't ever want to offend anyone. I know people are going to be offended by anything I say, whether it's about an ethnicity, whether it's about a man or a woman. And I recently had widows upset with me because I do a new joke about my biggest fear being that my husband dies, and I go into this imagination setting of when it happens, and I've had widows message me very offended. So it's like, I can't talk about anything. I'm gonna offend someone. Well,
but you know what, once you accept that, it's the comedian's journey.
It
and
is.
I think that stand-up comedy is the last vestige of free speech. I have a theory about because I love like MMA and like some sports that would be illegal if you do it on the street to somebody. Mm-hmm. And I like offensive jokes and weird music and obscure stuff. I think that art and sport are 2 places where we can vent these dark thoughts, ideas in a funny way or maybe a competitive way, so that we're not, because you can't go up to somebody on the street and start saying offensive jokes about their ethnicity. But if you go up on a stand-up stage, it's like, this is kind of a safe space for unsafe things. I think that's what the comedy stage should be.
I think it used to be that.
Ooh.
I think now it's like, do you also want a TV show?
Oh, man.
Because do you think one of these network is going to back you up when you're saying racially charged things or divisive things? Like, you know what I mean? Right. Like, it's if that's all you want to do is tell jokes and not worry about selling tickets.
Right.
You know what I mean? Then, yeah, do whatever you want, But as long as you need people to buy tickets to your show, and you need people to tune in to watch you every Thursday at 8 p.m., you have to kind of play the game.
If you say something and you feel that didn't go over well and it was offensive, just tag it with Hot Pocket. That's what Jim Gaffigan does.
Okay.
I think it works for him. Listen, where can people, by the way, thank you for coming and thank you for being honest.
Yes.
And it was very, very insightful to hear what you were just talking about, because I have a lot of comedian friends and they go through that. Where can people see you in April? Where's the tour going?
I'm going to be at the Wiltern in Los Angeles. I'm very excited. It's my first time performing in Los Angeles in the past 4 years.
Whoa!
Because I've just been on the road.
Right.
So this is my first LA show. The first show already sold out, so we added a second show. So April 13th and April 20th.
Cool.
I'm doing the Wiltern Theater. There's still tickets left for April 20th.
And people can look you up on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And they can see all the funny
Anjelah
stuff
Johnson on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Anjelah Johnson.
They'll go to your YouTube page and they're gonna check it out.
Yeah.
But they won't pronounce the T. But they will say bon Qui Qui and pronounce that correctly.
That's right. And they'll find me singing probably.
Beautiful music. I couldn't find it today. I'm the worst at this. But
I saw.
thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Take it easy. Let's check it out with Anjelah Johnson. Awesome.